Hello, everybody. It's me, Mark, with Mark's Issues with Archie Comics. Welcome to the new year. This is my first official video of the new year, and I've got a really interesting story. It's taken 30 years in the making. So let me go ahead and we'll get into that. If you do hear any outside noise, I apologize. I have the doors open. It's a beautiful 82 degrees down here, and I've got the doors open so the dog's in and out. And again, if you do hear any background noise, I apologize. Now, to start us off, I have Life with Archie, 125. This is from September of 1972. It's a Stan Goldberg and Bob Bowling cover with a 12-page story inside by Frank Doyle that I'm going to review. To me, this is a horror suspense story, let's say, and which is unusual for Archie. And like I said, it took 30 years to tell the entire story of this book, so bear with me. The story starts out with everybody. You've got Archie and Jughead, Betty, Veronica, and Veronica's dad, Mr. Lodge. Mr. Lodge has bought a huge mansion on the side of the seashore there, and they're all going out to check it out and see what it's like. They get there, and it seems Mr. Lodge has business he's called away to, but the kids convince him to let them stay and send the car for them later. So Betty, Veronica, and Archie go upstairs to explore, while Jughead heads to the kitchen to explore what's in the kitchen, because he's Jughead. They go into one of the rooms, and it's a little kid's room, and they're looking around, and Betty just happens to pick up a bear. As you can see, there's a bear on the front cover there. That's the bear. He looks cute and innocent, but he's not. He's a bad bear. When she picks up the bear, she goes all catatonic. Her eyes go white, her face goes blank, and she just starts heading towards the window. And she pushes the shutters open on the window, and she opens it, and she's about to jump out. And Veronica notices it and says, "Archie, stop her! She's about to jump out the window." Well, Archie grabs her and pulls her back just in time, and in the course of pulling her back, she drops the bear, and she snaps out of it. And she's like, "Oh, the bear's evil. The bear's haunted. The bear's bad. I gotta get out of here." She takes off. She runs downstairs. And while she's downstairs, a large marble type bust or porcelain bust, whatever they're made out of, is up on the ledge, and it wiggles and it falls, and it almost knocks her in the head. But luckily, Jughead shows up and pushes her out of the way just in the nick of time. So all this is just too much for Betty, and she decides that the whole place is haunted and creepy, and they need to get the heck out of Dodge. So they all start heading out, and just as they open the door, there's an old creepy guy in the door. So they grab him, they pull him inside, and Archie and Jughead are like, "What's going on? Why is everything happening like this?" And the guy goes, "Oh, I'm Old Ben. I'm the caretaker, and I live down in the boathouse down by the water." And then he goes, "Oh, are things happening to you?" And they go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, let me tell you the story of the place." And he goes into the story of how the owner, he had a little girl and a wife, and his wife passed away, and he was responsible for the little girl, and he's taking care of her. So he hires a governess for her. The little girl's name is Miss Nancy, and the governess name is what is it? Evelyn, I believe. Yes. And Evelyn really wasn't interested in watching the little girl. She was more interested in the master of the house, and she kept trying, and no matter what she would do, the master of the house really wasn't interested in her. He was more concerned with the care of the house and the daughter, and doing what he needs to do. So Old Ben says he saw her in her room one day, and she was making a deal with him below, and there was like smoke and potions and all kinds of stuff. And then the very next day, the governess gives Miss Nancy a bear, and when she gets the bear in her hands, the little girl turns like into a zombie almost. She doesn't speak, she doesn't respond to anybody, she doesn't look interesting. She's catatonic again with a blank look on her face, and her eyes are all white. They can't figure out what's wrong with her, and they have her lay down for a while, and the father comes up to check on her and say goodnight, and she's missing. Well, they go outside during this terrible thunderstorm, and they scour the grounds, and they find the little girl outside in her little night shirt, and she's soaking wet, and she's cold, and she's got the bear in her hands. And she catches pneumonia, but the doctors are able to come and help her, and she gets better. And she recovers from that, and she's better for a few days. But then the governess is back to her old things, and she gives her the bear again. In which case, the girl becomes catatonic again. And that night, they go to check on her again, and she's missing. The next day, the police come, and they're still looking for her. And at the very edge of the cliff, they find her footprints in the bear, and they deduce that she must have walked off the edge of the cliff in the middle of the night and fallen to her death. So while this is going on, and they're listening to the story from old Ben, next thing you know, Betty's got the bear in her hands again somehow. She's heading out the door, and she's walking towards the cliff. Now, granted, the cliff's not that close to the front door because that's just crazy. She's headed for the cliff, and Jughead's like, grab her, Archie, she's about to go over. So just in the nick of time again, Archie grabs her and he pulls her back, which causes her to drop the bear. Well, the bear falls over the cliff and lands down in the rocks in the ocean and gets all smashed, and we're like, well, that's the end of the bear, so I guess everything's okay now. And they head out and they leave with Mr. Lodge, thinking everything's fine. But in the very last panel of the story, there's the bear, and he's on the bed, and he's got a little piece of seaweed on him. So he's like, ooh, spooky bear. So that's the end of part 1. Now the next book I have here is Archie and Friends, featuring Josie and the Pussycats, number 58. This story is by Holly G. She did the art and the script. Now, this one came out in August of 2002. The last book I showed you came out in September of 72, I believe. And this continues the story, and this story is called Return to Nightmare Nursery. So the story starts out, you've got Alex, and he convinces the girls that they're going to go do a video shoot for their new song. And they go to this big house that's up on, of course, on the sea cliff. And it's the same house that was in the original story. He goes, I got this place, I rented it from Mr. Lodge to do our video because it's creepy and spooky, and what better place to do a music video than a creepy, spooky house. And so he decides to go to bed because they drove all day to get there. And the girls are downstairs, and they hear all these creepy sounds, and they're like, ooh, it's kind of creepy. And Melody's cold, and they feel chills and everything. And Josie's like, well, you're probably cold, Melody, because Melody never brings like a sweater or anything with her. She's always in halter tops or bikini tops. So they start a fire in the fireplace to warm the place up. And Josie goes, well, let's jam a little bit, and that'll take our minds off of it with the music. So as soon as they plug in the amp for the guitar, the amplifier goes, help me. And they're like, what was that? And Melody's like, I think the amp said help me. Maybe it has a boo-boo or something. And she walks over closer to it, and it says help me again. She's like, yeah, it definitely said help me. And then Josie walks over there, and she puts her ear against it. She's like, I don't hear anything anymore. She goes, maybe it was just our imagination, because, again, we're in a big spooky house. So I guess they do the music, and then they decide they're going to go to bed because they just don't want to deal with the spooky house anymore. So they're each in their separate rooms, And Melody hears a noise and goes running into the hallway. And at the same time, Valerie hears a noise and goes running into the hallway. And they both go running to Josie's room. They crack her door open. They're like, Josie, it's spooky in our room. Can we come stay in your room with you? And Josie's like, yeah, all right, come on into my bed. So they all climb into bed. And it's one of those big beds. And Melody's like, there's a monster under the bed. I heard it. It's under the bed. It's got to be a monster. So Josie reaches over and pulls the monster out from under the bed, and it's the cute little teddy bear. You see, there's the bear again. And the little bear goes, help me. And they're like, oh my gosh, the bear's haunted. What are we going to do? So they decide to lock the bear in a closet. So they put him in the closet, and they put the key in there, and they lock the door of the closet. Bear secured, problem solved. They all climb back into bed again, and they look down towards their feet, and there's the bear in the bed. And he goes, help me. At this point, they all run out of the room like a Scooby-Doo cartoon, and they all head downstairs. And they're like, how did the bear get out of the closet? And everyone's like, I don't know. So they're downstairs, and then right in front of the fireplace again, there's the bear. Help me. And Josie's like, that's enough of this crap. And she whacks the bear with her guitar and knocks him into the fireplace, and the bear burns up and disappears. And they're like, well, that's the end of the bear. We're safe. But just as the bear burns up, a ghost comes out of the fireplace where the bear was. And they're like, it's a ghost. And it was a little girl. And Melody's like, it's a little girl ghost. And the little girl goes, don't be scared. I just wanted to say thank you. You freed me from the bear. And when you look at the ghost, you can see it's Miss, what was her name from the first book? Miss Nancy, the little girl that fell off the cliff. And she's thanking them for freeing her. And then her mom and dad ghosts show up, and they all go off into, wherever ghosts go. And Alex comes downstairs finally. He's like, what was all that noise? And they're like, they told him what had just happened. And Alex's like, you guys are just full of it. He's like, that's the oldest ghost story. Everyone knows that ghost story. And he recaps Life with Archie 125, the Nightmare Nursery story. So at the end, they're like, you think he'll really ever believe us? And they're like, not a ghost of a chance. And that finishes the two-part story. I just thought it was really cool because it's 30 years apart from part 1 to part 2. I just thought it was cool. So I'm going to cut it short there. Try to keep them short so I don't use up too much of your time. If you like the video, please like, please subscribe. Please let me know what you think of the new format. Do you like the reviews of the books, or should I just go back to showing covers and various variants and stuff like that? Just let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week on my next video. Bye.